Mic check.
Money check. Mindset check.
This is Mic'd Up Money Reloaded.
Where entrepreneurs talk money,
Strategy, systems,
and execution. No fake hustle, no empty flexing, just real business talk that gets you right.
Mic'd Up Money
Reloaded, talk that strategy, show it. Systems moving, profit growing. Real entrepreneurs already know it. No fake value, better own it. Price meets pain when the bridge is built. Execution turns the vision golden. If the plan is weak, the pressure gets felt.
Mic check.
Money check.
Mindset check.
This ain't just motivation. This is business correction. This ain't just conversation. This is money direction.
You want profit, build the model. You want growth, fix the flow. You want increase, check the numbers.
What you don't know can stop the show.
Mic'd Up Money
Reloaded, talk that strategy, show it.
Systems moving, profit growing.
Real entrepreneurs already know it. No fake hustle, no empty flexing, no more guessing, no more
Stressing, money, strategy, systems,
execution.
reload the vision, rebuild the plan.
Price the value, know where you stand.
Mic'd Up Money
Reloaded.
bumping 96.3 FM. iHeartRadio, YouTube.
Where entrepreneurs talk money,
Strategy, systems.
and execution.
Stop just listening.
Start applying.
Mic'd Up Money,
Reloaded.
let's get it. Let's get it.
Disclaimer. Mic'd Up Money Reloaded provides business education, strategic analysis, and general information. This episode is not legal, tax, insurance, employment, accounting, cybersecurity, or financial advice. Social media evidence, privacy rights, employment rules, preservation duties, discovery obligations, and governmental access vary by jurisdiction, platform, type of proceeding, and the facts involved. If you are involved in a pending or reasonably anticipated lawsuit, audit, regulatory inquiry, employment dispute, insurance claim, divorce, creditor matter, or criminal investigation, consult the appropriate qualified professional before deleting, changing, concealing, or destroying potentially relevant information. Introduction. Your social media account doesn't know how to keep quiet. Help. My social media posts aren't pleading the Fifth. That sounds funny until somebody realizes what I am really talking about. The Fifth Amendment protects people from being compelled in a criminal case to be witnesses against themselves. But here is the business problem. Nobody compelled you to post a picture, make the video, go live, write the caption, brag about the sale, show the vacation, complain about the client, or explain how the business really operates. You volunteered the information. We have been trained to think about social media as marketing, entertainment, networking, community, and personal expression. Business owners also need to understand another category, documentation. A post can document where you appear to be, what you appear to be doing, what you were selling, when the business seemed to be operating, what equipment was visible, who was with you, how a process worked, what you claimed, and sometimes what you seemed to know or intend at the time. That does not mean a social media post automatically proves anything. Pictures can lack context, captions can be jokes, dates can be misunderstood, accounts can be hacked, and content can be altered. A polished marketing claim can be puffery instead of an audited financial statement. But when the post conflicts with something you said in a tax filing, insurance claim, financial affidavit, employment record, contract dispute, loan package, government application, or lawsuit, the post may become the reason somebody asks the next question. And that is the theme of today's show. Your timeline can become an actual timeline. The danger is not always that the post wins the case. Sometimes it simply gives the other side a map. Segment 1. Your post has more than one audience. One of the biggest social media mistakes is believing the audience for your post is the audience you intended. You post for customers, followers, friends, family, or prospects. But once information is public, shared, forwarded, screenshotted, quoted, or lawfully obtained, an entirely different audience may become interested in it. That audience can include taxing authorities, regulators, licensing bodies, insurers, claims investigators, creditors, lenders, investors, grantors, employers, employees, former employees, spouses, divorce attorneys, opposing counsel, potential clients, existing clients, vendors, contractors, subcontractors, journalists, business partners, and people who simply know enough about your situation to recognize that what you just posted does not match what you said somewhere else. The most dangerous person may not be a government investigator sitting in a room monitoring accounts. It may be somebody who already knows your story, a coworker who sees a post, a customer who recognizes a truck, a former spouse who sees a vacation, or a competitor who notices an unlicensed activity. A vendor may know the equipment shown belongs to somebody else, or a former employee may know the operating procedure being demonstrated is not what management claimed. That person forwards the information to somebody with a reason to investigate. So I want business owners to stop asking, who follows me? And begin asking, who could eventually see this if their financial, legal, or professional interests become adverse to mine? That is a very different audience analysis. Segment 2. The internet has muscle memory, but don't turn that into a myth. I use the phrase, the internet has muscle memory that you do not have. But let me make that precise. It is not true that every deleted post is guaranteed to live forever or that anybody can automatically recover anything you ever posted. That is internet mythology. The more defensible business principle is this: deleting something from your screen does not prove that no other copy exists. Someone may have taken a screenshot, downloaded a picture, recorded a live stream, forwarded a message, saved a video, quoted your caption, mirrored the content, or preserved it because a dispute had already started. Platforms may also maintain certain copies for backup, disaster recovery, security, legal obligations, or other legitimate purposes after content is no longer visible to you. And private is not the same thing as privileged. A private recipient can still save, share, or produce information under lawful process depending on the circumstances. This creates a second danger: panic deletion. If litigation or another formal dispute is reasonably anticipated, potentially relevant electronically stored information may need to be preserved. You do not want an owner, manager, or employee deciding at midnight that the legal strategy is to wipe accounts, destroy messages, and clean up the timeline before the lawyer sees it. The smarter response is preservation first, context second, professional advice third, and corrective communication only when appropriate. The lesson is not never delete anything. The lesson is do not confuse delete with erase, and do not destroy potentially relevant information because you are scared of what it says. Segment 3, the Digital Contradiction Doctrine. Here is the framework I want you to remember. I call it the Digital Contradiction Doctrine. This is not a legal doctrine, it is a business risk framework. A social media post does not have to independently establish wrongdoing. It may be valuable simply because it contradicts another representation and causes somebody to investigate further. Imagine you say, my business was completely shut down for 3 months, while your page says, sold out again this Saturday. You say, I have not been able to perform physical work, while a video appears to show you doing the same type of physical activity. You say, I do not have any other income, while your page says, now accepting bookings, deposit required. You say, that equipment was never mine, while an older post says, finally bought my new machine. You say, we have never provided that service, while your business page has been advertising it for 2 years. None of those examples automatically proves fraud, ownership, income, physical capacity, or contractual liability. But each one can create a credibility problem, and credibility problems can change the investigation. Lawyers may request different records. Insurers may ask different questions. Employers may compare timestamps. Spouses may request asset information. Clients may search reviews and prior statements. Regulators may examine licensing and permits. And creditors may compare claimed hardship with visible activity. A contradiction is often more valuable than a confession because it tells the interested party exactly where to dig. That is why social media is not just evidence. It can be investigative navigation. A post does not have to prove the case. It may only need to contradict your story and make somebody keep looking. Segment 4, Taxing Authorities, Unregistered Businesses, and the Revenue Trail. Now let us talk about the business activity people publicly advertise but barely document elsewhere. Home catering, food trucks, hair services, repair businesses, consulting, event services, reselling, pop-up shops, cash businesses, and side businesses that started as a hustle and quietly became a real operation. The posts say 20 orders today, booked all weekend, DM for deposit, Cash App accepted, Thanksgiving orders closed Friday. We sold out in 2 hours. Again, those posts do not establish taxable income by themselves. Revenue is not the same as profit. A picture of 20 plates does not prove 20 paid customers. A sold out statement may be marketing language, but public advertising can still create a lead showing that commercial activity existed, when it occurred, what was offered, approximate pricing, possible volume, payment methods, business names, customer relationships, and sometimes locations. The important thing is not to sensationalize this by telling people that every tax agency is secretly watching every Instagram account. That is not necessary. The more responsible question is, if a tax authority, licensing agency, auditor, creditor, or investigator already has a reason to examine the business, why would you assume the public advertising is invisible? And there is a management lesson underneath that. If your social media page knows how many orders you took, what products sold, and how busy the business was, but your bookkeeping system does not, the problem is bigger than social media. You have an institutional intelligence and financial control failure. Segment 5, Creditors, Lenders, Investors, and the Struggling Business Story. Creditors and lenders deserve their own segment because owners often present different financial personalities to different audiences. To customers, the company is booming. To the lender, cash flow is tight. To social media, the owner is on a luxury trip. And to the creditor, the business cannot make a payment. Maybe all of that is legitimately true at the same time. Revenue can be strong while cash is weak. A vacation can be paid by somebody else. A leased car is not net worth. And marketing language is not a balance sheet. But once you have an adverse financial relationship, contradictions become questions. Did the company really stop operating? Were assets transferred? Was cash diverted? Was equipment sold? Were new contracts received? Did an owner take distributions while claiming inability to pay? Or did a business obtain financing based on one representation while publicly announcing something materially inconsistent? This is why I keep telling entrepreneurs not to confuse financial theater with financial reality. You may be trying to signal success to customers, but signaling theory has a cost. Other audiences can observe the same signal. The signal you design to increase customer confidence may create creditor suspicion. The flex that gets attention from followers may create questions from a lender, partner, investor, or court-appointed professional. The solution is not to look poor online. The solution is to stop manufacturing a financial identity you cannot reasonably explain. Segment 6, Insurance Claims. Stop building your own exhibitor. Insurance is where the business struggling versus ultra-successful illusion can become especially dangerous. Suppose your company experiences a loss and makes a claim involving business interruption, damaged property, physical limitations, lost income, or operational shutdown. The insurer is going to care about documentation, chronology, causation, valuation, and the terms of the policy. Now compare that to the online story. During the period you claim the business could not operate, the page is announcing record sales. During a period of claimed physical restriction, there are posts that appear inconsistent with those restrictions. During a property claim, older videos show the condition or location of equipment. During a theft claim, a post reveals who had access or what security procedures were actually used. The reverse can also happen. Owners sometimes portray a business as struggling because vulnerability gets engagement, while records show a stronger operation. Others inflate success to create scarcity and social proof. We cannot keep up. Another record-breaking month. Everything is sold out. If those statements later collide with a financial claim, they may require explanation. Marketing is not an audited income statement, but when you are making representations to an insurer, accuracy matters. Do not create an online financial reality that your records cannot support or explain. The algorithm rewards exaggeration. Claims handling rewards documentation. Segment 7, Employers and Employees. Your attendance record may have a competing witness. Social media can create problems on both sides of the employment relationship. An employer may see public posts that appear inconsistent with an employee's explanation of absence, work activity, outside employment, or use of work time. Timestamps, live streams, comments, photos, location indicators, or repeated posting during scheduled work hours can become part of an attendance or performance investigation. But managers need discipline here. A social media post should not automatically become the sole basis for punishment because timestamps can be misunderstood. Scheduled posts exist. Somebody else may manage the account, a photo may be old, and the employee may be on an authorized break. Employment law can also protect certain worker communications, including concerted discussion about wages, hours, safety, staffing, or working conditions, and state privacy or off-duty conduct rules can matter too. The correct management response is evidence plus policy plus context plus consistency. Verify the facts, compare time records, apply the same standard to similarly situated employees, and preserve relevant information. Do not demand private account passwords just because management is curious, and do not turn a legitimate investigation into retaliation or discrimination. And employees need to understand the other side. If you are in a formal attendance, leave, accommodation, workers' compensation, or conduct dispute, posting content that materially contradicts your representation may create an avoidable credibility problem. Your phone can become a competing witness. Segment 8, Spouses, Divorce, Support, and the Lifestyle Contradiction. Now we get uncomfortable. Social media can function as a lifestyle exhibit. Someone represents modest income, limited assets, or financial hardship, while the public profile shows trips, cars, jewelry, business activity, property, equipment, cash, intensive events, or a lifestyle that appears inconsistent with sworn financial information. A picture does not establish net worth. A car may be leased, a house may belong to somebody else, a trip may be sponsored, jewelry may be fake, and an old photo may have been reposted. A business can generate revenue and still lose money. But every one of those images can generate questions about who paid for it, who owns it, when it was acquired, whether it was disclosed, whether an undisclosed business exists, whether assets were transferred, and whether the lifestyle aligns with tax returns, financial affidavits, support calculations, or discovery responses. Social media also shows relationships and chronology: who attended an event, who appears connected to a business, who is repeatedly photographed using an asset, and which dates overlap with travel, separation, claimed residence, or business activity. Again, none of this should be treated as automatic proof, but in an adversarial financial dispute, a post can become a map to documents and witnesses. If your private financial life is entering litigation, the worst time to start performing wealth for strangers is right now. Segment 9. Clients, contractors, and the unfiltered suitability test. Take government completely out of the conversation. Potential clients are investigating you too. Before they sign a contract, they may search your name, company, reviews, comments, lawsuits, LinkedIn history, Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok, and whatever else appears. They are not only asking, can this person do the work? They are asking, do I want this person inside my business, around my customers, around confidential information, or representing my brand? Your formal website says professional. Your comment section may show how you behave when angry. Your biography says confidentiality. Your video tells a story about a crazy client with enough details to identify the customer. Your proposal says strategic. Your public feed looks impulsive. Your contract says one delivery standard, while your behind-the-scenes posts show shortcuts, carelessness, or a completely different process. Contractors and professional service providers also create workmanship evidence without realizing it. Before and after pictures, job site videos, timestamps, product choices, materials, staffing, safety equipment, or statements about completion can become relevant if workmanship is later disputed. A customer may say, you told me the job was not finished that day, but your page celebrated completion. The contractor may say, that video proves the customer approved the work at that stage. Social media cuts both directions. The larger point is suitability. People believe the content they think they discovered more than the polished statement you intentionally handed them. That is why unmanaged owner behavior can become enterprise risk. Segment 10, Government Programs, Nonprofits, Grants, Licensing, and Public Money. Governmental and funded organizations have another layer of exposure. A nonprofit, contractor, grantee, child care provider, healthcare provider, food operator, transportation business, or licensed professional may operate under rules about how money is used, who is served, what activities are authorized, what permits are required, or what program actually occurred. Now imagine the written report says one thing and social media appears to show another. The grant describes a community program. the feed shows a different event. A reimbursement request identifies one use of funds. A post displays equipment, travel, staffing, or purchases that raise questions. A licensed business advertises services outside the apparent scope of its license. A food operator promotes sales while questions exist about permits or tax registration. Again, the post is not necessarily proof of misappropriation, fraud, an unlicensed business, or a false claim, but it may be enough to create an inquiry. And when public money is involved, people should expect documentation standards to be higher, not lower. If your organization receives grants or governmental funds, your social media team should not operate in a separate universe from program management, finance, and compliance. Communications should know what the organization can accurately claim. Finance should know what the organization is publicly representing, and leadership should know whether the public story matches the documented program. Segment 11. You may be publishing your unwritten operating manual. This is the institutional intelligence segment, and I think business owners underestimate it. Employees post behind-the-scenes videos, managers live stream, owners show how the product is made, and customers record service areas. Everybody believes they are making content, but sometimes they are publishing the company's unwritten operating manual. A video can reveal how cash is handled, where inventory is stored, when the building is empty, which door employees use, who carries keys, how deposits are prepared, where checks sit, what security cameras cover, which products are high value, how closing procedures work, which vendor supplies a proprietary component, how a recipe is prepared, how a machine is configured, or which workaround employees use when the official process fails. Now add another problem. The written policy says one thing while the video shows the actual practice. The employee handbook says 2 people verify deposits. The live stream shows 1. The SOP says protective equipment is required. The promotional video shows employees without it. The manual says customer information is protected. A screen with customer names appears in the background. The company claims a proprietary process. An influencer posts the entire process for engagement. A social media policy, therefore, cannot be only about profanity, politics, or embarrassing pictures. It must address confidentiality, security, customer privacy, intellectual property, financial controls, job site information, trade secrets, account credentials, and who is authorized to speak for the company. Segment 12, State of Mind, Intent, Pain and Suffering, and the Context Problem. This area needs careful language. A social media post does not automatically prove someone's mental state, intent, malice, criminal intent, negligence, emotional condition, or pain and suffering. Human beings are complicated. Online behavior is curated, and people can perform happiness while suffering or perform anger while joking. But statements can still become relevant depending on the dispute. Someone repeatedly writes, "I know this is illegal, but nobody can stop me." A manager says, "I am going to make sure she never works in this industry again." And a retaliation claim later arises. A contractor posts, "We knew that material was bad, but used it anyway." A person claiming ignorance has older posts showing familiarity with the issue. Someone alleging that an incident destroyed every part of normal life has a public record that opposing counsel argues is inconsistent with that claim. The right lesson is not to fake your emotional condition or hide your life. It is to understand that casual statements can be stripped from the context you assumed everyone shared. Tone does not travel well into a deposition transcript. Sarcasm does not always look sarcastic when printed on paper. A joke typed at midnight can look very different when somebody asks you under oath what you meant. Before you post anger, threats, admissions, accusations, or inside information, remember that the future audience may not hear your voice. They may see black letters on a white page. Segment 13, Behavioral Economics. Why smart people keep creating digital risk. Why do intelligent people continue to publish information that can hurt them? Because social media is built around immediate reward and delayed consequence. The reward is now: likes, attention, comments, validation, social status, sales, engagement, belonging, and the feeling that people are watching. The risk is later: litigation, audit, insurance claim, divorce, employment dispute, due diligence, creditor action, regulatory inquiry, or reputational loss. That is present bias. We overweight today's reward and discount tomorrow's cost. Then optimism bias tells us that happens to somebody else, while audience blindness tells us, my followers know what I meant. Your followers may know, but the claims adjuster, investigator, or prospective client may not, and neither may a judge, jury, regulator, spouse, or attorney. Then we add social signaling. Business owners may exaggerate demand because scarcity sells, wealth because status attracts attention, hardship because vulnerability generates empathy, or anger because outrage performs. Every one of those strategies can work in the algorithm and fail in the record. This is what I call performance economics. You are receiving an immediate social or commercial payoff for presenting a version of reality, while the long-term cost of having to reconcile that performance with actual records is heavily discounted. The algorithm rewards theater, while adverse parties reward inconsistency, and that is a dangerous incentive system. Segment 14, the three versions of you. Every entrepreneur now has at least three versions of themselves. Version 1 is the record you, tax returns, accounting records, bank statements, payroll, insurance applications, contracts, loan documents, financial disclosures, employee files, licensing records, and legal filings. Version 2 is the represented you, what you tell customers, banks, employees, insurers, government agencies, spouses, attorneys, investors, vendors, partners, and contractors. Those representations may be oral, written, contractual, promotional, sworn, or informal. Version 3 is the published you, the version your social media accounts present to the world. The vacations, complaints, success claims, hardship stories, work demonstrations, equipment, relationships, customer volume, job sites, political arguments, emotional reactions, product claims, and operating practices. Trouble begins when those three versions cannot reasonably coexist. Your records say one thing, your representation says another, and your social media says, hold on, I have pictures. The goal is not to make all three versions identical in tone. Marketing will sound different from an accounting ledger. The goal is congruence. Each version should be explainable without inventing a new story. The goal is congruence. The record you, the represented you, and the published you must be explainable together. Segment 15, the Digital Contradiction Test. 7 questions before you post. I want to leave owners with a pre-post discipline. Before a business account owner, manager, or employee publishes something connected to the company, ask 7 questions. First, is it true and supportable? Not technically true, not marketing true. Supportable enough that you can explain what you meant. Second, does it materially contradict our records, claims, contracts, financial representations, or prior statements? Third, does it disclose something we should protect? Customer information, employee information, pricing exceptions, intellectual property, security, passwords, keys, vendor terms, payment processes, or confidential strategy? Fourth, could the post create a false impression without context? Fifth, does it create evidence about time, place, ownership, physical activity, revenue, staffing, completion, or operating procedure that we would need to explain later? Sixth, is the person posting authorized to speak for the company on this subject? And seventh, would I be comfortable explaining this exact post under oath to an insurer, to a regulator, to a lender, to a client, or to my own attorney? That seventh question is powerful because it destroys the illusion of audience control. If the answer is, I would never want my lawyer to see this, your lawyer is not the problem. The post is the problem. Segment 16, what to do when the bad post is already out there. Now let us be practical. If the risky post already exists, do not panic, do not order employees to secretly erase everything, and do not start rewriting history. First, preserve what exists by capturing the post, date, account, surrounding context, comments, and any records that explain what actually happened. If a formal dispute is pending or reasonably anticipated, get appropriate legal guidance before deleting or altering potentially relevant information. Second, determine the risk category by asking whether this is a confidentiality issue, a security exposure, a false marketing statement, an employment problem, a tax or licensing inconsistency, a contractual claim, an insurance issue, a customer complaint, or an emotional rant. Different risks require different responses. Third, correct the underlying business record if the problem exposed a real control failure. If social media shows unrecorded sales, fix the bookkeeping process. If employees are revealing customer information, fix training and access. If managers are posting unsafe procedures, fix the operation, not merely the camera angle. If your marketing team is inventing performance claims, establish an approval standard. Fourth, decide whether a public correction is necessary. Correcting a material false statement may sometimes be appropriate, while responding publicly can sometimes make the problem larger. That is why serious disputes require coordinated legal, operational, financial, HR, and communications judgment rather than an owner reacting emotionally at 1 o'clock in the morning. Strategic hustling moment. Your published story must agree with your documented story. Here is today's strategic hustling moment. Your social media account should never know more about your business than your accounting system, operating records, and management team do. If Facebook can prove how many customers you serve but your books cannot, you have a problem. If Instagram knows what inventory is moving, but your inventory system does not, you have a problem. If TikTok knows your operating procedures, but your SOP manual does not, you have a problem. If your followers know your revenue claims, but your accountant does not, you have a problem. If LinkedIn announces partnerships that your contract file cannot document, you have a problem. The answer is not silence because social media is too valuable for that. The answer is governance. Know who can post, what requires review, what information is prohibited, how claims are verified, how employees are trained, how incidents are preserved, and who makes the decision when a post collides with a legal, financial, employment, or insurance issue. Strategic hustling is not merely knowing how to get attention. It is knowing how to turn attention into value without turning your own content into unnecessary business risk. Your published story must agree with your documented story. Companion Toolkit. Turn this episode into a business control. This is exactly why I built the Companion Digital Footprint and Social Media Risk Audit Toolkit. This is not another generic worksheet telling you to be professional online. The toolkit treats social media as a financial, operational, employment, insurance, legal, client suitability, security, and institutional intelligence issue. The 22 execution tools plus bonus management dashboard walk you through a digital contradiction audit, stakeholder exposure review, financial and income representation check, insurance, claim social media review, employee posting risk assessment, confidentiality and intellectual property exposure, security and operating procedure review, client suitability test, dispute preservation protocol, post-incident response process, and ongoing management controls. The goal is to identify where your published story and documented story are drifting apart before somebody with an adverse interest finds the contradiction for you. If you own the company, manage employees, handle claims, oversee compliance, or have a public-facing professional identity, use the toolkit with your leadership team. Do not wait until a screenshot shows up in somebody else's file. Closing. Your posts don't plead the fifth. Your mouth can remain quiet while your lawyer tells you not to comment. Your accountant tells you not to speculate. Your insurer tells you to stick to the documentation. And HR tells management not to discuss the employee matter. And then somebody opens your social media account. That is why digital discipline is now business discipline. Not because you should become afraid to post. Not because every investigator in America is monitoring your Facebook page. Not because every photo proves what somebody thinks it proves. But because every communication connected to a business can potentially become a representation, a lead, a credibility test, or a piece of the timeline. Some posts sell, entertain, educate, or build community, and some posts accidentally testify. Before you publish, ask yourself, is this marketing, entertainment, documentation, or am I unknowingly creating somebody else's Exhibit A? Because your social media posts are not pleading the fifth. And once somebody's interests become adverse to yours, they may be more interested in what you posted yesterday than anything you are willing to say today. That is not paranoia. It is information management, financial intelligence, and institutional intelligence. And that is strategic hustling. For the complete digital footprint and social media risk audit toolkit, go to MikeDupMoneyReloaded.com. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share this episode. Comment Great Business Education on all social media platforms. Re-listen to this episode on our podcast across most major podcasting platforms or support our YouTube channel. Until the next episode, use strategy, systems, and execution.
Mike the money, reloaded, talk that strategy, show it. Systems moving, profit growing, real entrepreneurs already know it. No fake hustle, no empty flexing, no more guessing, no more stressing. Money, strategy, systems, execution. Reload the vision, rebuild the plan, price the value, know where you stand. Mike the money, reloaded. Bumping 96.3 FM, iHeartRadio, YouTube, where entrepreneurs talk money, strategy, systems, and execution. Stop just listening, start applying. My God, money reloaded. Let's get it.